My name is Jessica Prater, J Prater Consulting. I'm brand new to using some of this software. I'm learning as I go. So welcome. Welcome to the journey. Um, I want to come to you guys today and talk to you guys about something that is kind of in my view right now. It's kind of kind of issue with them. A mic issue. Um, it is front of mind right now, and that is change will impact you psychologically, physically. Um, Very important to talk and think about how change will impact you. So if you guys are following me on Facebook, and I'm going to repost this on both YouTube and on Instagram, if you follow me on Facebook, you saw a very important announcement that we've been keeping a little bit quiet for the last couple months. So my husband unexpectedly lost his job in the summer, and we kept it super quiet out of because I'm an HR person. Like, I am very respectful of situations and people and things, and I am not going to get on and bash anybody or talk bad about anybody. But we have been going through this unexpected change, and I don't want to share too much of the story because it's my husband's to share. But as a spouse, we've been going through a lot of change. We went from my husband working 6 days a week to at home all the time and in job search mode all the time. And on my side, we've just been through a lot of change. And I don't want to tell the story right now because, again, it's not mine to share. But what I do want to share with you is the impact of change. Because I have a background in industrial and organizational psychology. I've spent the last decade of my career doing human resources, but also really helping people's brains at work. And I want to share with you guys that there are folks going through a lot of change right now, whether it be professional change, whether it be personal change, whether it be impacts of COVID-19 on the way you do life every day. Change is inevitably going to impact you and how you do life. So I want to talk about something very important because I titled the titled this as, you are potentially set up to fail in this situation. And I want to talk to you about change being part of who you are. There's a model that we typically talk about in industrial and organizational psychology called OCEAN. And this is a personality framework. I really like it. There's a lot of really solid research behind it. But the first aspect of OCEAN is openness to experience. How willing are you to deal with change? How willing are you to deal with something new? You see, there are people that are on a spectrum of how willing you are to go with the flow, and how some of us like to have things planned out months and years in advance. And so there is definitely a spectrum of your openness to experience. There's a few other factors in here on the OCEAN model that will definitely impact how you handle change. Neuroticism is something that, you have to talk about if you're talking about temperament and how people's personalities are. If you're more prone to anxiety, if you're more prone to kind of those spirals in your mind, that probably is weighing into how you deal with change. Conscientiousness, agreeableness, extroversion, introversion, all of those things are factors. But the big part is openness to experience, and how willing are you to do something different? How willing are you to go with the flow? There are people that are very comfortable in systems and processes and doing the same things the same way that they've always done it, versus there are people that are a little bit more willing to go with the flow. And so, I really want to encourage you guys to think about really where you fall on that spectrum. But even somebody that is highly open to new experience, 7 months into COVID-19, probably feeling some of the after effects of change. So, what I want you guys to know is that change actually causes a physical reaction in our bodies, just like the fight or flight that you talk about when there's a threat. Change can be one more threat that comes up with what you do. And again, openness to experience is something that, really determines what your threshold is. But I'm going to be honest with y'all, 2020 is a dumpster fire of things that are happening, stressors that are happening to us. And you may be predisposed if you have low openness to experience. Again, I'm in that boat. I am a planner. Do not throw something at me from left field. I will handle it, but I will not be calm about it. But openness experience is really important because you will have a lower threshold to how much unexpected change you can deal with. But again, everybody is somewhere on that level. So at some point, you hit a tipping point and that change becomes a threat. And again, if you think about that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is something we talk about very often in psychology, is, what foundational level does it shake you at? If you are facing a change that might be dealing with your income, might be dealing with your health and safety, might even be threatening some of that, purpose or well-being that we have in our life, you are going to have a physical reaction to that. Okay. You're going to have increased cortisol. You're going to have increased stress hormones. All of those things are going to get in your body. And I'm somebody that, I'm not extremely woo. I'll tell you that. Like I'm not, into some of the things that are out there, but I'll tell you guys this, there is a mind body connection. Nobody can deny it. Okay. If you are dealing with change, if you're walking through change, your body is feeling that. And so, we all have our own thresholds of what we can handle with change. And at some point, our body starts reacting. For some people, there is a chronic reaction. I will never forget this. I was in a very stressful time in my career in the early, maybe 2010 ish. I was in a company that I loved. I had a manager that I loved. I had a job that just was not a great fit for me. I was very, very stressed out all the time. And it led to me spending my first married Christmas Eve and Christmas morning in the hospital. My husband had to rush me to the ER. I had some pretty severe physical symptoms. And after every test in the book, and bless their hearts, the nurses were just so sweet. And they're like, "Oh, honey, I bet this is not how you were thinking you were going to spend your first Christmas with your husband." No, it was not how I was expecting to spend my first Christmas with my husband. But I spent it in the emergency room. And after tests and follow-ups and all these things, it came down to stress, and I wasn't dealing with stress well. I wasn't working through it. I didn't have good outlets. I didn't have ways to really productively channel that emotional energy that I had. And so it really led me to having psychosomatic, which is, manifested physical symptoms from a mental situation. And I say all that to say that everybody has a different threshold. Everybody has a different thing that can send them over to the edge. And 2020 is rife with situations, whether it be political, whether it be health, whether it be income related, of changes that you are probably going to run into, that you really have to figure out, okay, what's my threshold? Am I open to this experience? And what are some ways that I can deal with this change in a responsible way? I want to tell you guys this. You have to change how you're moving forward. The way that you've planned is probably going to be different for 2021. Okay. Just going to throw that out there. The way that you have systems and processes needs to be different. The way that you are approaching things with flexibility needs to be different. You need to have a different set of tools. I had a really good friend and I were texting back and forth on something the other day, and we were talking about something particularly that she and I are both dealing with, and we were talking through that, and she said, I really want a step-by-step plan. And I texted her back and said, I think the only people that have step-by-step plans are people trying to sell you something right now. It feels so relevant in what we're doing. So much of the advertising that I'm seeing is based on pain points, and that's valuable. You know, such a proponent to speaking to your potential clients, to speaking to your potential customer base, but there is a real truth to the fact of everybody's coping skills are going to be different. The way that you approach things is going to be different than somebody else. And you need to find something that's completely personalized to you. So I wanted to share with you guys, I am doing something that's completely different than what I normally do. I am doing a workshop in December on the topic of the psychology of change. Now, I know that sounds very exciting, like let's just, take what sounds like a college class. And what I want to tell you guys is, apparently I don't think of fancy branding names, but this is what I want you guys to know. It is going to be a session filled with tools and customizable pieces that you can take to reach out to and approach change. I normally deal with change in organizations. I normally deal with change on a big macro setting. Normally, I'm sitting down with a business, we're doing org structure, we're talking about job descriptions, some of those things that really help move organizations through change. But what I want to bring to you guys in December is a personal level of how to approach change. And let me tell you guys this, I'm going to bring a lot of resources to you guys, and it's almost going to be like a buffet. Ooh, a buffet. I don't know if I'm ever going to be comfortable going back to buffets after COVID-19, but it is going to be almost a buffet of looking at what are some of the options that you have to really approach change in a responsible way, to understand how you are dealing with change, you personally. How do you approach change? How do you personally process through that? And they give you some tools that you can have. And again, take those pieces that work for you. Don't take the pieces that don't, because the person that tries to sell you something that's going to work for everybody, it's probably not going to work for you. Okay. So we are really going to talk about some processes, some options, some things that you can put into your life. Listen, this has been a tumultuous year, 2020. If I hear the word unprecedented one more time, and I'm pretty sure in all these lives, at some point I've said unprecedented. I can't even say, I have a lisp, by the way. Talk about somebody that does public speaking that has a lisp. There are certain words that I try to avoid, and unprecedented is definitely one of them. It's taken a lot of practice, but we are living in these really unusual times. We are not, I did a live last week that talked about we're not going to be able to snap our fingers and say, let's just go back to like it was before. It's not going to happen. You are going to have to continue to evolve through change. I would argue and say that COVID-19 has been something that we've pointed at of being the precipitator of a lot of change. But let's be real. Some of these changes have been coming down the pike for years. Some of these things have been just waiting for the spark to really make change happen. And so knowing and understanding how you deal with change and dealing with change with a way that you use the tools and the processes to help you move forward is absolutely critical. So I would love for you to join me December 10th. I'm going to make sure in the description below, if you're watching it later on, I'm going to add the link in there. But primary audience for this is just anybody that's interested in learning more about how to effectively deal with change and move forward. I'm going to share some of my own tips, not just ones that I've used over the years, but ones that I have seen others effectively use. And I'm going to share with you guys some practical ways to move forward despite change. I almost should have called this how to deal with change from a control freak, because that's me. So anyways, Jessica Prater, J Prater Consulting. I would love to hear more. If this is something you're interested in, pop a comment into the chat below. Let me know, are these lives interesting to you? I'm still trying to find a time. So right now it's 2 p.m. Central Time. I'm still trying to figure out the best time to do these. And so if you want to hop on live, if you want to be in the discussion, I would love to have you as part of it. Please just let me know when a good time would be for you, and also what topics do you want to hear. Again, I have 10 years of experience in HR, change management, and psychology at work. And so I would love to get your thoughts on what kind of topics you'd like to hear from me. Again, Jessica Prater, Jacob Prater Consulting, thank you so much for being here today. And I hope you have a fantastic week.